So that explains a little bit about how you got your foot in the door, maybe in the restaurant industry and the business side of things. There is that how you kind of worked your way up from an entrepreneurial perspective, starting with washing dishes and
Yeah.
managing a restaurant and going from there.
Yeah, so I was in high school. I went to high school and we had to pick a trade. So I went for culinary arts,
Okay.
and I kind of got a good basis of the cooking industry. And I started in restaurant space. I think my first restaurant job was about 16, and it was under the table. The guy was awesome though. He trained me, he taught me so much in life, taught me a lot about hard work. And I started as just somebody on a register. One day the cook didn't show, and he asked me to come in the back and help him. And I found that that was like a passion. It was a love of mine to be in the kitchen for a while. And I ended up working in the restaurant industry until I actually eventually purchased my first food truck.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And by the way, to everybody listening, like I didn't really have a lot of money to purchase that food truck either. Um, if you guys go to college, you get that reimbursement or that stipend. It was about $4,000 or $5,000. I took that stipend money. It's supposed to last me for the whole year. I took the stipend money. I went, bought a food truck for like $2,000 or $3,000. It was like worn down. The guy that painted and fixed it and started selling tacos, late night tacos. And this was about maybe 9, 10 years ago.
Wow.
And I was going to school to be an industrial engineer. I remember at that time, and the average industrial engineer was making about 60,000 a year, right? And that's a full time job at that point. And I went out on the street on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I sold tacos for about 3 hours, and I was making about 60 grand a year. And at that point, I was like, I'm done with school.
Wow.
The entrepreneurial spirit was in me.
That's amazing. Yeah, I can relate. Just doing accounting, coming out of school in 2009, where it's like, trying to just make sure I was landing a job. But unfortunately, I didn't know, how many different opportunities there were out there for entrepreneurs in terms of like replacing a W-2 income. I thought 60 grand at the time, or 58 grand, which was my first starting salary, was like, that was the best that many of my friends or network were making. So I thought that was just like the best you can do. But yeah, as you found out early on, there's just so many ways, and now social media, and like there's so many just different ways that you can find those different opportunities and kind of be teed off to those. So that's cool. You were was that your first kind of entrepreneurial, I guess, you know?
Now, I'll tell you, man, it was always in me. So I remember I snuck out. I hope my parents don't listen to this, but I snuck out my parents' house one day. We lived right below a basketball court. We lived in, they call them the projects, 15 floor, 16 floor apartment building.
Yeah.
We lived right below a basketball court. And I filled up some water jugs and I took it to the basketball court. It's
No.
probably about like 6 or 7, man. And I took it down there and I made a sign that said water for 25 cents. And I sold water.
Wow.
I sold tap water to some basketball players that were downstairs. And that was kind of my first hustle. And then it became, I bought a Pac-Man machine. I think I bought it online on Facebook Marketplace, maybe like $200. And it was a quarter to play. I put it in a popular bar. I was making like I saw people playing it all the time. I opened it up and I had made my first investment back in that first month. And it was at that point it was like, man, I can make this passive income. I didn't know what passive income was at that time,
Yeah.
but I knew I was making money while I was, doing other things.
Right.
So it felt
Yeah. I look back on that, and you see people like selling couches, or like, reselling cars or magic cards or whatever it is. Like, you kind of know, I think, when you're a kid, you don't know what that feeling is, or what that, what exactly you've got going. But I think a lot of people have that when they're kids, and like it feels right. You just got to find a way to tap into that. And it sounds like, through the restaurant industry initially, and then with that food truck, you were really able to start kind of building some of those skills in terms of operating a business, your P&L, how to price things. Um,
yeah. And I want to add this too, as you mentioned in that I didn't get those skills from school,
mhm.
right? I actually got those skills. Those skills came from me working those jobs. So I worked at Starbucks, great systems at Starbucks. I worked at McDonald's, great systems at McDonald's. There's nothing wrong with having a W-2 job,
Right.
right? You can learn so much from that. You can learn systems, you can learn development, you can learn branding. If you're an accountant, you can learn how to operate in a business. and use that in your repertoire of what you want to do eventually.
Mm,
Use it as a stepping stone.
for sure. Yeah, you definitely learn. I mean, even looking at my first time when I was, as a landlord, just house hacking and renting the bottom out, you learn so much just in terms of the paperwork and, how much to take as a deposit, who to rent to and who not to, being careful with family and business, so many different things.